Hey there, this is Eric, and this is one of my many Mount Etna types that I have. If you've followed anything I've been doing over the last few years, I've trialed several Mount Etna varieties to see what worked best for me, and what I found was most of them are really pretty similar. You might have a few variances year to year, tree to tree, which ones ripen first, which ones are bigger, which ones are sweeter, which ones are more dense. But for the most part, what I've found is the flavor on them all is fairly comparable. I have found that Sayreville Dark, for whatever reason, produces a little bit larger fruit. Crow's consistently is one that I think is just a little tiny step above some of the others. Colasanti Dark is kind of in the same way. RLBV is really good. Marseille Black VS is really good. Malta Black is really good. It's a little bit more syrupy than some of the other ones. But it varies year to year, and it varies from tree to tree. The point is, I think if you're in the Willamette Valley, anywhere from Portland down to Medford, I think you could probably grow one of these or two of these and have a lot of success. So anyway, this one in particular is called BI39. It's in a pot. It was in the ground. I pulled it out over the winter in favor of putting my Brava producers in those spots. I pulled this one out and Tacoma Violet. And the cool thing about Etnas is they do well in pots. Some of the trees don't. Mount Etnas do. And I think that's an important factor in them and growing them with some success. Now, I'm not crazy about growing in pots, but if I'm only doing it for a few trees, I could handle it. You'll have to root prune them, you know. I mean, this one's in a 15-gallon pot, and it probably needs to be root pruned this winter now, even after being pulled out of the ground. So, but it's out here in our overgrown rose bed, and it gets watered and all that stuff. So we'll take a little walk over here to some of the other ones and see where these things are. So these are two other ones that I pulled out of the ground. This is a Celeste type, and this is my Tacoma Violet. And they're in the same pot. You know, I didn't have time to unpot them and move everything around. But Tacoma Violet, you can see right there. Now, if we're looking at ripening times, the general consensus is from the first formation of figlets to ripe is somewhere, depending on the variety, somewhere between, for some of them, 60 and 120 days. Now, for us here in the Willamette Valley, err on the side of more time. I have never had a fig ripen in 60 days. Never. Floria is the one that I think people talk about ripening the fastest, or one of them. And for me, it's not 60 days. It's probably more closer to 80 or 90. So, you know, I don't do a good job in keeping track of first figlet formation and ripe. I do keep track of what ripens first. So Tacoma Violet, that's where that one's at. BI39 is a little further ahead. This one over here, this is Malta Black. So it's about the same, give or take. And I don't know if I have any on Lebrant yet. Not really. It had some dieback this year. So you can see there it died back all the way there. So it had to restart. But I don't see any figlets on that yet. And over here, Santorini, same issue. It had some dieback. It's got a few little ones, very, very little. But we can walk out back as well and take a look at those. But you know, I think it's worth growing a Mount Etna or two if you want consistent production. I don't necessarily think that you need to focus on getting a rare one, or one that somebody reports is better than others. I think for us, they're so close, and my friend Chris says this all the time, Oregon Figs. They're all so close that you just pick one. It's not going to matter. You're going to get great figs. So this one here, this is my Ciccionero, and you can see it's right in line with the others that are out front. You know, not real big yet, but I'll get a substantial crop off of this. Same thing here. This is Colasanti Dark. And why am I keeping the ones I'm keeping? Well, you know, some of it is circumstance. Ciccionero was in a big pot. I didn't want to get rid of a big tree. It was harder to unpack, you know. I had an Arella. I got rid of that one. I gave it to a friend of mine. Had dark Portuguese. Gave it to a friend of mine. Most of the time with the Etna trees, that's what I do. I don't destroy them. I give them away. This is another one. This is one of my older ones. This is Brooklyn Unknown. So, I mean, it's not even a known variety. It's probably the same as Black Bethlehem or Hardy Chicago or any of the other ones. Yeah, I mean, it just produces good figs, and it's consistent. So, do you need highfalutin, fancy named ones? No. This one is called Valois. Again, they're all about the same stage. These are further along because they're in pots. And that's the benefit of growing in pots. I'll go down here and you can see what the Inground trees look like. Oh, the dog's got another one of my air layer pods. That's cool. Dang it. All right, so this is my Sayreville Dark, and this one, like I said, I think this one does produce a little bit larger figs. It did in a pot. It's shown that in the ground as well. Not substantially larger, but a little bit. Up here, it's got a few. I started pinching it to try and stop it from growing. So it's got a few on it that are around the same size as some of the stuff in the pots. But this tree is pushing 8 feet tall and very vigorous. I'm not pinching for fruit set. I'm just pinching to try and stop it from getting any taller. And then this one, this is Bronx Italian Purple. Same idea. It's getting to the point where I got to start pinching off some growth and try to bring it down a little bit more. This one's actually going to get trimmed this winter because, let's see, there we go. There's a few. Because it's got this weird hole there in the trunk, and I saw a bug in there yesterday. So I'm hoping, yeah, I think it's just that one spot. So I'll cut it off below that point, and I'll just put a cage around it, let it grow up from the base. But it's pretty well established. It's a bigger tree. Let's see, and then over here I've got my crows. And again, this is a good one. But because it's in a pot, you know, it's down here. It's not protected. It doesn't get any winter protection for me. Got this one from my buddy Chris, and it's right in line with some of the other ones. So they're all about on par with each other as far as timing goes. And like I said, I have a lot of Etna types, and I like that flavor variety. Is it the best in the world in every location? Probably not. Is it as good here as some of the other high quality figs? Yeah, it is. As Chris has often said, due to our location and the dry climate when they ripen, these figs do really well for us. You're going to have a lot of success with them. So this one is my Floria, and just as an aside, you can see it's barely starting to push any figs. Barely. And so, what does that mean? Well, I don't know. I think it means that pots heat up the roots faster, and therefore you get fruit set quicker, earlier. And that matters. You need to have early fruit set here in the Willamette Valley. So, just words of advice, a little bit of walking and talking today. All right. Take care. See you around.